Welcome into New York Giants Now by Chat Sports. I'm your host, Marshall Green, and I appreciate everybody that has clicked on today's video, our first ever live show on the channel. And in today's show, we're going to be breaking down the latest Giants news and rumors. Joe Schoen, he just finished his press conference, and he was about 27 minutes late. We're not late at all. We're starting right at 2 p.m. Eastern. I appreciate everyone that's clicked on today's video. And let's get the comment section going early on in the show. We like doing audience build-up before we get to the actual segments. We'll tell you about those in a second. So light up the comment section, because the more comments means YouTube is going to push this video to more Giants fans, and I want everyone to come join the party. More people equals a better time, so get in the comments and let me know. Shout out your city. Let me know where you're watching from. The one thing I love about Giants Now is we have fans all over the world, coast to coast. It's one of my favorite things about this channel. We're built off audience interaction. So getting to know you guys and where you guys watch the show from, I really just makes me happy, and I appreciate it once again. We got someone said, Michael Cross. He's a Giants fan. He's in South Florida. I appreciate it. Got my boy Alzo in the chat. Really, first ever? Yep, first ever Giants Now. It's been a long time coming. I started doing videos on this channel probably about June last year, so we're coming up on a year, 7,000 subs strong, trying to get to 8K, and we're making great progress. Knackback asked, do you think the Giants can get Debo with the second? We'll talk a little bit about Debo Samuel later. He actually requested a trade from the San Francisco 49ers. It's been a wild offseason. I've learned one thing through this offseason. You can never say never. Look, I didn't think Tom Brady was going to retire. Then he unretired. And then Tyreek Hill, he got traded. Devontae Adams, he got traded. So when you watch these rumors videos on the channel, I don't want to hear in the comment section, never say never, because if I told you those things 3 months ago, you wouldn't believe me. Knackback's from Brooklyn, but I live in Jacksonville, the 904. Peaceman73, what's up, bro? Said Giants fan from Glen Falls, New York. That's awesome. Marcos Alvarez says, I'm a Giants fan from PA. That sucks. That city celebrates a broken bell. That's why they suck. We got Michael Cross. He's from Raton, Florida. He says, yo, what up, everybody? Joe Black says, trade Tony. Trey Green says, Houston, Texas. Sam Luber, I want Debo to the Giants, but can we live with the KG contract? The Kenny Golladay contract, despite him not scoring a touchdown last year, when you go back and look at it a year later from now, he probably won't even be a top 32 highest paid receiver in the NFL. So let's play a little game of Stump the Schwab. Get in the comments section and name a random Giants player, one that you think I would have never heard of. It doesn't have to be on this year's team. It can be on any team in the past. Get one in the comments section. I'm really curious what you say about this. This is a game we like to play on all of our channels here at Chat Sports, and it usually gets the comment section flowing, and I really like that. In Deep, he's from Vancouver, Canada. That's awesome. Let me see if we got anyone else shouting out their city. Ernie Tamez, he's from San Benito, Texas. That's awesome. Spaghetti Noodle Gaming says, yo, Marshall, are you putting my question in the show? I don't know. Get in the comment section right now and you ask your questions using hashtag Giants. Everybody that uses hashtag Giants will get you in today's mailbag. Do we got any random? Yeah, we got one. We got Genius Smith. I never heard of him. I've heard of Geno Smith, but not Genius Smith. Ernie says Kawika Mitchell. That's close. Joe Black. Brad Van Pelt, Big Cujo 66, I'm here. All hail me, Big Cujo. Thanks for joining the party, man. Joseph Tomasio, let me know if I'm saying that wrong. He says Jason Sehorn, Giants legend, one of the most impactful interceptions in Giants history. Trey Green says Kurt Warner. Yeah, I bet you could probably stump some people saying Kurt Warner was a New York Giants quarterback at one point. He played a couple games before Eli Manning hopped in the saddle and led us to 2 Super Bowl victories over the New England Patriots. Michael Spider Lockhart, you know, it's funny, that's one of my dad's favorite players ever, so I know you got to be a little up there in age. Homer Jones, Big Cujo's from Tampa. Spaghetti Noodle Gaming, Marshall, I am the guy from Twitter. I'm also the guy from Twitter. I appreciate it, brother. No, but I got you, and we'll talk, his question was about Odell Beckham Jr. We might get a little comment about OBJ in a second. But a topic on today's show that we're going to touch on is Kadarius Toney, the former first overall pick, the 20th overall pick in the 2021 NFL Draft. And he wasn't at voluntary workouts a couple weeks ago. And today and yesterday and this week, he has not been at voluntary minicamp. I understand it's voluntary and you don't have to go. But when you have a new boss, a new general manager, and you have a new head coach, and you don't show up to the first day of school, That's a little bit troubling in my opinion. So get in the comments section and let me know, is Kadarius Toney not being at voluntary minicamp a big deal? You can go down and type Y for yes in the comment section, or if you think it's not a big deal, you can go down and type N for no. We'll give shout-outs for everybody that answers these questions. We still got some more coming in from random Giants. Ryan Eden, he says Eli Manning, never heard of him. Ernie Tamez says, is there any news on Tony? Is he training on his own? We'll talk about Tony later. Let me know how you feel about this. Brian Daboll said he's talked to Kadarius Toney. Didn't elaborate too much about what they've talked about, so not too much new news except for the fact that he has not been at Giants voluntary workouts or mini camps that's coming up. Alzo says no, but he is a head case. I don't think it's a huge deal, but I do have a problem with it. I'm not a big fan of Kadarius Toney not being there. Ernie says yes. Joseph says yes. Peaceman says yes. RH says yes. John Tozen, not a big deal. Yeah, John Tozen, you're the type of guy that wouldn't come for voluntary workouts because you just show up and you're a bash brother. I appreciate it. David Hand, he says Mark Ingram. Not that Mark Ingram, but yes, Mark Ingram. He did play for the Giants at one point. Spaghetti Noodle Gaming, it is a big deal, he says. We got Cobra E. Daco from Salt Lake, Utah. And we got Big Cujo Doug Coder. All right, let's go to this next one. Get in the comments and use hashtag Giants to get featured on our 2 live mailbags today. I'll be answering your guys' questions during the show. We'll get your face, we'll get your username up on screen, your question will be on screen, and I'll answer them on today's show. But you got to use hashtag Giants. So what do I mean by that? You can't just ask a question, yo, Marshall, is Eli Manning a Hall of Famer? You got to use yo, Marshall, hashtag Giants. Somewhere in there, is Eli Manning a Hall of Famer? And 100% he is. He better be a first ballot guy or I'm going to be pretty upset with the NFL. And look, anybody that super chats on today's show, we're going to be taking shots. Every single super chat is a shot. I appreciate everyone that does super chat. It's a great way to show support, and it's a good way to keep this show going. We rely on super chat money, so I appreciate you. 2 mailbags later on in the show. Keep getting your questions in the comment section. Gritty Guapo, my guy. Yo, Marshall Green, the man, the myth, the legend. What's going on, bro? Sam Lubner, Debo to the Giants. Thoughts? Whew, I can't wait to talk about Debo Samuel. I got this question, though. Because we ordered here at Chat Sports, we do group lunch orders, and we had Chipotle on Monday. And I like Chipotle, but other times I don't like Chipotle. Like one time I'll eat, I'll be like, damn, that was good. And another time I'll be like, I didn't enjoy it. It was messy. The meat tasted a little fake. And I got a story about it. But first, do you like Chipotle? Type L for like, type D for dislike. Right now, I'm on the bad side of the fence for Chipotle. I'm typing my D because when we had our group order on Monday, I ordered a bowl, very simple. Chicken, rice, beans, cheese, a little bit of lettuce, very simple. And it didn't come with rice. I just opened my bowl, and there was no rice in there. And that's the first step of the assembly line at Chipotle is you put in the rice. So I'm not exactly sure how the lady or the dude messed up that order. So right now I got beef with Chipotle. I'm trying to get a refund for that. Not really, but still. Chipotle, you're on my bad side. How could you forget rice in a bowl? Sam Lubner, he says L. Ray Nunez, Odell to the Giants. Peaceman says D. Alzo says D. Sam says, I tried to get Chipotle today, and they were out of everything. Chipotle, they were sold out of everything, huh? Said he's getting up 5 guys. Well, be careful with those 5 guys. Trey, we got a little super chat coming in. Let's get some shots rolling on the show. Let's ride. One coming in from Trey Green. Heard you might have a son now. You might be a dad or something like that. Pretty crazy. Can't wait to meet him. I think it's my job as the uncle to make him a New York Giants fan. I know it's already in his blood, but I'm really going to drive it home. We'll get that super chat up on screen in a second. Knack back. I like Chipotle, but sometimes it be different. I don't know how to explain it. You're right. I agree. Sometimes it do be different. I mean, like when I had it on Monday, there was no rice. We got a $20 super chat coming from Trey Green. Never heard of the guy. I appreciate you for watching the show. He types LFG in the comments section. Peaceman says, Giants need another Mark Bavaro. Let's ride. Let's ride. Let's get some shots going. Get the shots. Get the shots going. Let's ride. Let's ride. No, that's too much. Too soon. Too soon. John Tozen, put the rice in there. Get some Fireball. Yeah, I got to take a couple shots. I said I'd do a shot for every single super chat we get on the show. No super chat menu, but we're showing love. All right, we'll get back to the shots in a second, continue this audience build-up. We'll get to the show in a second. But answer this question for me, one of the last ones we got. Should the Giants trade Saquon Barkley? We've talked about it a lot on this channel. A clear $7.2 million in cap space. He's on the last year of his contract. He's been injury-plagued the last couple of years. He was great his rookie year. He went over 2,000 all-purpose yards, had 15 total touchdowns. I kind of am in the middle on this. My idea is if you don't trade him, that means and tells me that you think he's going to be a part of your long-term plans. So get in the comment section, type T for trade, or you can go down and type P for pass. And while you're doing that and getting your answers in and your votes in, I wanted to ask you guys to give us a follow on Rumble, rumble.com/NYGiantsTV. It's a very similar app to YouTube. It's a content creator app where you post videos. And here at Giants Now at Chat Sports, we are posting our content over there. We're growing to platforms that you guys use. And right now, Giants Now is in 4th place. And I'm not too proud about 4th place, even though I celebrated it last year when the Knicks finished 4th in the Eastern Conference. I'm just glad and ecstatic that I'm above the Cowboys report at 5th place. They're just over 1,100 followers. We just crossed 1,200 subs. So I appreciate everybody. Let's lengthen the gap between Giants Now and the Cowboys report. I'll put the link to rumble.com/NYGiantsTV in the comments and the description of this video. My favorite thing about Rumble, though, is it's not like YouTube. If you don't want to see me talk, you can just close out the app, put it in your pocket, and let the audio roll while you work out or do anything that you want while you don't have to watch the video. On YouTube, you got to pay a fee, a premium fee to get that going. So give us a follow, rumble.com/NYGiantsTV. On today's show, we're going to talk about the latest Giants news and rumors. We'll get to that in a second. Kadarius Toney, he's not at voluntary workouts. And we're also going to have 2 live mailbags. You can super chat to get on the show. You can also ask a question with your super chat. You don't just have to donate, or you can use #Giants, and we'll answer all of those questions. Trace, you want to come take a shot with me? Anybody that wants to? Let's ride. Let's ride. Let's get loose. Let's ride. We got some New York pizza out there, huh? Let's ride. Got my boy Trace Gerard, one of the hardest working dudes we got here at Chat Sports. He's my boy. Let's ride. Appreciate you, Trey. Love you, brother. Woo!
Let's go!
That's good. That's good. Never tasted better. Never tasted better. All right, if you're ready for the show to start, go down and like this video. Right now we're at 21 likes. I'd like to get to 30 likes, 25 likes. Show some love. We got 47 people watching. Let's get a little above 50%. I'm bad at math, but I think we're a little bit under there. If we can get to 25 likes, I'd appreciate it. My boy Matthew Peterson, he's on the 1s and 2s behind the camera, pushing the buttons, making this show happen. Are you ready? All right, let's do it. We're going to be talking the latest Giants news and rumors right now. Welcome into New York Giants Now by Chat Sports. I'm your host, Marshall Green, and we have a loaded show for you all today. We're going to touch on Kadarius Toney and him once again not participating at a voluntary event, this time a workout for the New York Giants. And also I saw a report a couple days ago. The Giants, could they cut James Bradberry if they can't find a trade partner for him before the NFL draft? Joe Schoen actually touched on that, and he also had a press conference just a couple of minutes ago. It just ended and wrapped up, and I'm going to give you my biggest takeaways from that press conference at the end of the show. I appreciate everyone that's clicked on today's video. Give us a like, and let's get rolling on the latest Giants news and rumors. Kadarius Toney was not at voluntary offseason workouts a couple weeks ago, and it was kind of a problem then. I thought, if you're not going to be there on the first day of school when you got a new boss and a new head coach, that's a problem. But now the pads are on, the Giants are practicing, and voluntary minicamp started this week, and once again, Kadarius Toney is MIA. Last year, he didn't attend voluntary offseason workouts either because he didn't have his contract signed. So this may be a thing that continues to roll every single year for Kadarius Toney. Do I think it's a big deal? No. But do I see it as a problem? Yes, we'll continue to break that down in a second. I just don't think it's a good look with a new staff in place. You got a new head coach. You got a new GM. You had a lackluster rookie year, and you're not showing up to digest the playbook. The fact is, he hasn't even gotten the playbook because the Giants, they're not doing anything over Zoom anymore, and they're not going to hand out playbooks electronically. So Brian Daboll, he was asked about Kadarius Toney at voluntary minicamp today, and this is what he had to say about Kadarius Toney. He said, KT, he's not here today. We have had a good attendance. Most everybody has been here. This is a voluntary camp. The guys that are here, we're going to work with. The guys that aren't going to miss out on, the guys that are going to miss out on some things, I've had good talks with KT. I like the fact that Kadarius Toney has at least talked with Brian Daboll, even though he hasn't been present for voluntary workouts or minicamp. The fact that you're not at least going to be there, I think it's a good thing that you've either reached out or Brian Daboll has reached out to him. But I have a whole lot of thoughts on Toney not being there. And I tweeted this out back on April 5th when he first wasn't at voluntary workouts. And I said, Kadarius Toney not going to voluntary workouts doesn't help him or the Giants. That's all that matters. The Giants have been the laughingstock of the league for 5 years now. Having your first-round pick no-show the first day with a new head coach and GM is worrisome. And my stance hasn't changed at all about that. Kadarius Toney is not only hurting himself by not going to these workouts and minicamp, he's also hurting the New York Football Giants. The Giants, they've had one of the worst receiving corps for the past couple of years in the NFL. You just spent a first-round pick on a guy, and he doesn't seem to be someone that's all the way bought in. And I have a problem with that. The Giants, they traded back and selected you in the first round. They had you on the field early on in the season when you didn't participate in offseason workouts last year. You didn't play in preseason. You weren't there for minicamp or training camp. And then I also said this, because some people responded and said, Marshall, would you even go to work if it was voluntary? If they didn't make you go, would you go? And this was my tweet then. And yes, if my job held a voluntary workshop with a new CEO and a new COO in place that is designed to help me to get to know my new coworkers and bosses while benefiting me to do my job better and to make more money while helping the company be more successful, I'd be there. But that's just me. So I got a question for you guys. How do you feel about Kadarius Toney skipping out on voluntary minicamps? Are you mad? Are you sad? Do you think it's not a big deal? Is it a big deal? I think it is kind of a big deal. The fact you're not there working and building a better relationship with a guy like Daniel Jones, who you didn't get much offseason reps with last year. You didn't have much of a rapport on the field. It clearly showed that you weren't at your top ability to perform because you weren't able to score any touchdowns last year for the New York Giants. I do think it is a problem. Kadarius Toney needs to be on his best behavior and doing absolutely everything to help himself and the New York Football Giants. So let me know in the comments section, how do you feel about Kadarius Toney skipping out on minicamp? If Kadarius Toney last year had the type of production that Jamar Chase had, and he said, you know what, I'm cool, I don't want to come to voluntary workouts, I was just the best receiver in the NFL in my rookie year, I'd be cool with it. The thing is, the guy didn't score one touchdown last year. He had a troubling rookie year on and off the field. I mean, the guy, he had 39 grabs for 420 yards. Yeah, get your jokes in. It's 420. What a coincidence. Smoke one for your boy. But 57 targets, 39 receptions, 420 yards, and 0 touchdowns. I like Kadarius Toney. I'm not out on the guy. This is someone that I think is going to be an elite receiver in the National Football League. The thing is, he needs to be on the field. He needs the reps. This is someone that has all-pro talent, in my opinion. We saw it against the Dallas Cowboys when he had Mike Glennon at his quarterback spot, and he went for almost 200 yards. Mike Glennon just dropped back and said, you know what, F it, Kadarius Toney's down there somewhere, and it worked out more times than not. When he gets the ball in his hands, he's like a jitterbug. He is one of the best players in the NFL when it comes to yards after the catch. He continuously breaks tackles, and I like him a lot. I saw some things from him. He played well against the Cowboys. He played well against the New Orleans Saints. He had some big-time plays. But what have we heard before about Giants receivers in the past? Little things add up. One little thing, not a problem. Two little things, not a problem. But one after another, and now you're not showing up on the first day of school with a new teacher and a new principal. That's a problem, and I could see that not going over well with the new head brass in Joe Schoen and Brian Daboll. And the Giants, they need Kadarius Toney to perform like a first-round pick, because when you look at this Giants wide receiver depth chart, it leaves a lot to be desired. Kenny Golladay, no touchdowns last year. Sterling Shepard, coming off an Achilles injury. Kadarius Toney, we already talked about him. Darius Slayton, he dropped the ball pretty much every single time he was targeted last year. There's not an elite wide receiver on this roster. Could they change that in the NFL draft? Could they take someone in the second round like Jahan Dotson? Yes. But you already spent a first-round pick on Kadarius Toney, and you need him to produce as soon as possible. And him not showing up even though it's voluntary, is not a good look for the Giants or for him. So I want to ask you this question. I still believe in him. I'm going down and I'm typing in the comment section, why for yes, because I think he has the talent. I just question what he has in between his ears, and I'm not talking a headset. But let me know, do you still believe in Kadarius Toney? Go down and type Y for yes, or you can go down and type N for no. And if this is your first time watching a New York Giants Now video, make sure to subscribe because we have free daily videos around the latest Giants news and rumors, and we're starting live shows like the one where this video first aired. And we're going to be going live for pick 5 and pick number 7 in the NFL draft. It's going to be a party way better than Mel Kiper and Todd McShay eating pumpkin pie. We're going to be throwing back shots, drinking some beers, having a good time. So join us, hit that big red sub button, help us get to 8,000 subscribers. Story number 2 on the show, and I saw this report a couple of days ago from Dan Duggan. He said, could the Giants Zach Rosenblatt, excuse me. He said, could the Giants look to cut James Bradberry? There hasn't been much trade chatter. He hasn't received many good picks in return. The report is the highest offer has been a 6th-round pick, and clearly the Giants, they value James Bradberry higher than a 6th-round pick, or they would have pulled the trigger on a trade like that. I think Bradberry can still be an elite number 1 corner in the National Football League. I would love for him to be a New York Giant. Joe Schoen had some things to say about that. We'll talk about that in a little bit later. But could the Giants just cut Bradberry if they're unable to get a trade done before the NFL draft or a draft day trade? The reason that he's most likely not going to be a Giant next year is because of that cap hit. And it's about at $21.8 million. And if you cut him prior to June 1st, you have a dead cap hit of $9.7 million. And to figure out how much savings you have, you take the cap hit minus the dead money. So 21.8 minus 9.7. But that doesn't equal 10.1. And that's because a couple of weeks ago, James Bradberry's contract became partially guaranteed, $2 million of it. So if they would have cut him prior to that deadline where his contract became partially guaranteed, they would have saved $12.1 million. But the fact that date is come and gone, now they can only save 10.1. But if they do trade him, they could save $12.1 million. If you think about what Bradberry was when he first came to the Giants, over from the Carolina Panthers, and Dave Gettleman gave him that 3-year contract, a lot of people, when that happened, weren't high on the deal. They thought it was a bad deal. They thought it was an overpay. But he came in and was one of the best cornerbacks in the NFL in 2020. Gave up just 4 touchdowns, allowed just 587 yards, had 3 interceptions, 18 pass breakups. But this year, his production slightly took a step back. He gave up 8 touchdowns, twice the amount he gave up the year prior. He gave up 850 yards. He had 4 interceptions and still 17 pass breakups, but he was targeted way more. In 2020, he was targeted 91 times. In 2021, 2022, he was targeted 115 times. He continually got targeted in man coverage. And why is this stat on screen? Because Don Wink Martindale is a man coverage defensive coordinator. He wants to run man coverage. He wants to bring the house. He wants to run zero blitz. He wants to have all these exotic schemes and different blitz packages, and you have to run man behind some of those most of the time, and James Bradberry does not excel in that spot. So even if the Giants were to keep him, he wouldn't be a great scheme fit in a man-to-man offense. He did it 22% of the time last year, allowed a 68% completion rate, and 127 passer rating when targeted in man coverage. The Giants' defensive back room right now, I still have James Bradberry in there, even though I don't think he's going to be on this team next year. He's your cornerback 1. Then you got Adoree Jackson at cornerback 2. And you don't really got much else. I like Robinson, the rookie. I think he made some good plays last year. He showed some promise. But he cannot be your number 1, 2. Rodarius Williams, he was good in training camp, but he got hurt early. The Giants, they need to target a cornerback in the NFL draft if they want to move on from a guy like James Bradberry. I like Adoree Jackson. He played better down the stretch of the season last year. He could slide in as your number 1, but I have concerns, injury concerns, if he can line up every single week and be that number 1 corner and follow number 1 wide receivers sideline to sideline. So what to do with James Bradberry? Should the Giants keep him, restructure, eat some money, sacrifice some cap next year? Joe Schoen said that's a possibility. We'll break that down in a second. Or should they just outright cut him? Go down, type K for keep, or you can go down and type C for cut. Cutting him would save $10.1 million. Last segment on the show today, Joe Schoen, he just had his pre-draft press conference. We're about a week away from the NFL draft. And he talked about a lot of different things. So here are some of my biggest takeaways on that press conference. He was asked about the number 5 and number 7 pick, and does he value need? The Giants, they need to go offensive line. He said, you know what? Throw need out the door. He believes in best player available, and he's talked about that throughout his tenure since he's taken over as the Giants general manager. Best player available. He said, we're trying to get 2 great football players at number 5 and number 7. Something I also thought that was really telling, he said we already have our top 7 guys ready on the draft board. So the Giants, they have their 7 guys. No matter how the draft falls out, they're going to get one of those guys at pick number 5 and pick number 7. This is a picture of Joe Schoen at its press conference. And then he talked about Charles Cross, the offensive tackle out of Mississippi State. He was asked about Cross, Neal, and Ekwonu, but he's really only singled out Charles Cross. And he said this, he's a really good player, really good feet. We like him. Is that Joe Schoen trying to up the stock of Charles Cross so someone takes him in the top 4 in Ekwonu or Neal falls the Giants are 5 at 7? Is he playing a little game of poker? We'll find out in a little over a week on NFL Draft Night. Another thing that I thought was really important about the press conference, he said we've gotten calls on both picks 5 and number 7. So they're entertaining at least the idea to trade down. If they trade down, I'd like to net a future first-round pick to make a move for a quarterback next year if Daniel Jones struggles. But he also said there's been no hard offer. Is he lying? Is it a smokescreen? Who knows? Things are always, they're not clear leading up until the NFL draft, but there is an idea, at least in his head, that they could trade down from picks 5 or 7. He also said this about James Bradberry. We're going to play it out and see how the draft goes. So maybe if they take Sauce Gardner at pick number 5, they're going to be more willing to trade a guy like James Bradberry. If they don't get Sauce, if they don't get Kyer Elam in the second round, if they don't get any of the cornerbacks that are mocked to go in the top 40, maybe they try to keep James Bradberry and eat some of that money. He also said this, there are contingency plans for him, being James Bradberry, to still be a New York football Giant. And I think that's the best case scenario for the Giants. He's a great player. He had an all-pro type of year back in 2020. I don't think he's the best scheme fit for Wink Martindale, but the Giants aren't in a place necessarily just to be giving up good football players, and that's what James Bradberry is. And the last thing that I thought Joe Schoen was, honest about, and something that I liked a lot and heard a lot about him when he was at his time as Buffalo, and he worked with Brandon Beane, their general manager. He said character issues can take a guy off the board. And I like that. I'm tired of dealing with guys like DeAndre Baker and all of those guys the Giants have picked in the past that haven't worked off the field. But let me know, do you trust Joe Schoen to bring the Giants their 5th Super Bowl? Do you trust him to make the New York football Giants great again? If you do, if you think Joe Schoen is the guy to hoist another Lombardi in the trophy case for the New York Giants, I want you to like this video. I mean, it's science. The more likes we get, the more likely it is that the Giants are going to win another Super Bowl. So like this video if you think Joe Schoen's the guy. All righty. Coming up, we're going to be doing 2 live mailbags where I'm going to be answering your guys' questions. So get in the comments section. Use hashtag Giants, or you can super chat. Super chatting guarantees you to get on the show. It was a little bit of a long segment, but I had some things to get off my chest. Let's take a look back at the comment section. Jamie says C for cut. Harlem Girl says K for keep regarding James Bradberry. Marty says C for cut. Mr. Palmieri says K for keep. K for keep. Yep. Spelling. Not that good at it. Trey Green said if we can get a 4th for Bradberry, I'd do it. The thing is, I don't think the Giants can get a 4th-round pick for James Bradberry. If they had that on the table, I think they already would have made that happen. Let's look back at some of these other comments. Michael says, cut the young kid a break. 3 strikes, you're out. Small fine for now. Look, I'm not completely out on Kadarius Toney. I hope I didn't make it sound like that. I still think the guy's got great talent and can be a productive player in the NFL. The thing is, how many times can you just have the little things add up? I mean, we saw with Odell Beckham, the guy kicked a kicking net and kissed it, and New York Giants fans wanted to set his head on fire. Tony B, what's up, my guy? Always see you in the comment section. Thank you for watching. Fred Green says, let's have a winning record. That's soft from a guy that thinks the Giants are going to win the Super Bowl every year. You can answer this question too. Do you believe in Kadarius Toney? Type Y for yes, or you can go down and type N for no. I want to remind you guys once again to give us a follow on Rumble, a very similar app to YouTube, a content creator app where you post videos, and we're posting our Giants Now content. So give us a follow. Rumble.com/NYGiantsTV. We're trying to catch the Browns report, and then pass the Raiders report, and pass the Chiefs report. But the one thing I'm focused on is separating us further and further from the Dallas Cowboys report here at Chat Sports. I hate losing, and I hate losing to the Cowboys even more. But there's one thing I love more than winning. It's beating the Dallas Cowboys. So let's keep doing that. Let's get more subs over on Rumble. We're posting free daily content over there as well. We're going live over on Rumble. Let me see if we got anyone watching. We got 2 people watching on Rumble. Let's ride. All right. We're about to get into 2 mailbags. Use hashtag Giants or Super Chat. How are the question flow looking over there? Good. Hashtag Giants. All Super Chats are guaranteed to get on the show. Hashtag Giants. We'll get to those in just a quick second. Elijah, number 28. What's up, guy? I always see you in the comment section. He types Y for yes. Michael, N for no. Marty, N. Mr. Palmir, 32Y. Jamie, Y. COVID 1984, Y, but he seems like another distraction. Michael, trade Tony and arrest Gettleman. Yeah, Dave Gettleman, he's a war criminal. Jaden, Y for KT. John Greer, not sure about him. Wolf Z, K. All right, if you want to get featured on the show, use hashtag Giants. We're about to get into a Giants Rumors mailbag. Welcome into New York Giants Now by Chat Sports. I'm your host, Marshall Green. Make sure to subscribe because we're only putting subscribers' questions on this mailbag. So go down, hit that big red button, and help us get to 8,000 subscribers by the time of the NFL draft because we're going to be going live for pick 5 and pick number 7, and you're not going to want to miss it. Super Chat, appreciate you, Sam, $1.99. Debo just liked a tweet about going to the Cowboys. Is this fake news? Debo Samuel to the Cowboys. Wow. I mean, yeah, Debo Samuel, he requested a trade. A report from Jeff Darlington earlier today. He requested a trade. And I'm seeing now on my Twitter feed that he liked a tweet about playing for the Dallas Cowboys, him a jersey edit in a Cowboys uniform. And that's just the worst case scenario. I mean, Debo Samuel is one of the best football players in the NFL. And I would just not be a fan if he played for the Cowboys. I like Debo. I like that he rocks out to Super Gremlin by Kodak Black, leading out of the tunnel into the playoff games. But if he went to the Dallas Cowboys, I'd hate him because I think it would make them one of the best offenses in the NFL. What a way to replace Amari Cooper. Trade out Amari Cooper and trade for Debo Samuel. Appreciate your super chat, Sam. Juan Rowlett, if the Giants trade one of the first-round picks, what player do you think they should trade for? If the Giants trade one of their first-round picks, do you mean like trade the first-round pick straight up for a player? What about trading pick number 7, Daniel Jones, James Bradberry, and maybe like a future third-round pick for Debo Samuel? A lot of people might be like, whoa, Marshall, we don't got any salary cap space. The thing is, the Giants have about $7 million in cap space right now. Debo Samuel has about a $4.8 million cap hit this season. So if you do the math, 7 plus the $12 million you save from James Bradberry, that's about 20. You get some salary cap relief for Daniel Jones, you're at about 27. Then you only take a cap hit of Debo Samuel of about $4 million. And then you extend him and backload the contract to pay him in the later years. Do I think it happens? No, but I appreciate your question. David Hand, yo Marshall, how short of a leash does Danny worst pick Jones have? How short of a leash? I would say I think the Giants are going to ride it out with Daniel Jones. This is his last time and his last chance to prove to himself, Brian Daboll, Joe Schoen, John Mara, and everybody related to the New York Giants that he can be a franchise quarterback. If the Giants fall to 0-10, I just let him rock out because the best case scenario, if he sucks, the Giants pick first in the draft next year. I don't think he has a short leash, but if he does struggle, I don't think it's the unreal idea that Tyrod Taylor, who's getting paid about $7 million, could come in and take his spot, but I don't think that happens this year for the Giants. Appreciate your question, David. All-time Giants. Should the Giants trade Saquon? He will be expensive to keep if he has a good year. No doubt about it. And right now, the Dallas Cowboys are feeling it because of what they paid Ezekiel Elliott. Look, if you trade Saquon, you save $7.2 million. But if you don't trade him, which I don't think is going to happen, Joe Schoen has talked about it, that means you have to have the dollars allocated and prepared for him to have a good year. Because if he has a good year, you don't just want to have him walk. You want him to be a Giant again, and you're going to have to pay him big-time bucks. If he goes and does what he did back in his rookie season, where he had 260 carries, played all 16 games, went for 1,300 rushing yards, averaged 15 yards a pop, 15 total touchdowns, and 91 receptions, I'd re-sign Saquon Barkley. I'd pay him what he wants. But that does come with a hefty price tag, because you got to remember, since 2019 and 2021, he's only played in 28 games, and he's been a shell of the player he was. His average went from 5 to 4.1. He's had 1,600 yards since his rookie year, and he's only scored 12 total touchdowns. So there's a lot to weigh with Saquon Barkley. My thing is, if you don't trade him, you better re-sign him if he has a good year, because that comp pick you're going to get if he gets paid a lot of money, it's not going to be worth the production of potentially the best running back in the NFL, and a guy that sounded hungry when he was speaking to the media today at Giants voluntary minicamp. But weigh in, should the Giants trade Saquon Barkley? Type T for trade, or if you want to see him in New York Giants blue next year, go down and type K for keep. Ray Nunez, Odell to the Giants. Oh my gosh, here we go again. Look, at one point I was one of the biggest fans of Odell Beckham. I thought he was the best receiver in the NFL. He's probably the most entertaining Giant we've ever seen. The thing is, he got sent to Cleveland to die via Dave Gettleman, and I don't think he has a good relationship with the Giants. He's always chirping at him on Twitter, saying, oh, I was such a locker room cancer, blah, blah, blah. Thing is, I'd love it to happen. One of my favorite players ever, one of the most dynamic players to ever wear New York Giants blue, but I doubt it ever happens again. Pixie Dust. Is the O-line still in need in the draft with all the pieces? Absolutely. 100%. The Giants' offensive line is still in need. In my opinion, they only really signed one starter on the offensive line. Garcia, he's okay. Feliciano, he's okay. Gowinski, he's going to be your starting right guard. In my opinion, you need a starting center. You need a starting left guard, and you need a starting right tackle. You got to get a right tackle at pick number 5 or 7, and then through the other rounds, the Giants, they have 5 top 82 picks in the NFL draft. Hopefully you get a left guard and a center at those spots. Gritty Guapo, I heard in the barbershop today that Eli Manning is coming out of retirement. Is this a bit? Is this some kind of joke? Eli Manning's done. He's done. I love him. I got me a 10 jersey. I love Eli Manning as a first ballot Hall of Famer, but hang it up. He's done. I guess you're enjoying 420 as a holiday. Appreciate it, Gritty Guapo. Hey, it's Drizzle. Daniel Jones, over under 3,000. It's better be over. It is. If it's under, he will not be a starting quarterback in the NFL next year, and it won't be for the New York Giants. If Daniel Jones can do what he just did his rookie year, where he played in 12 games, when he came in relief for Eli Manning, he had 24 touchdowns and 12 interceptions. That's 24 touchdowns in 12 games. We play 17 games now. So can I get 30 tutties from Daniel Jones? Is that lofty? Yes. But if he goes for less than 3,000 yards and less than 15 touchdowns, he's not going to be a New York Giant anymore. This next one coming in from Fred Green. My best case scenario is Neal and Gardner. Look, that's a win-win for the New York Giants. You get one of the best offensive tackles in the draft at Evan Neal. Some people have him as the best. I think he slides easily to the right side. And Sauce Gardner. You get a guy that could be a potential shutdown corner in the NFL draft. Someone that you can put on that island, and he can lock up number 1 wide receivers and travel from sideline to sideline. Sauce Gardner, he fits exceptionally well in a Brian or a Wink Martindale system, a press man guy with length, 4.4 speed. I'm all in on Sauce Gardner, and if Evan Neal and Gardner at the picks at 5, number 7, I'll be doing jumping jacks here on live when we go live on Giants Now. Speaking of that question, who do you want the Giants to pick in the first round? Give me 2 names in the comments section. 1 at number 5, 1 at number 7. I like Neal and Gardner. I prefer Aquanu a little bit over Evan Neal. But if you get a guy like Aquanu or Neal at number 5, I think you got to go and lead towards a pass rusher like Kayvon Thibodeau at 7 or Sauce Gardner at pick number 7. All right, that mailbag's over. We're going to get into another one here in a little bit. If you want to be featured on the next New York Giants Now mailbag, go down in the comments section and use hashtag Giants. If we didn't get to your questions in the last mailbag, we'll get them in this one. I can guarantee you that. Elijah, he types K for keep when it comes to Saquon Barkley. Jaden, he wants to sign Odell. I do too. The thing is, I don't think that's ever going to happen again. Harlem Girl, what's up? Tony B, I would hope Barkley takes a hometown discount. I think that's a good idea. I think Saquon, if he has a good year, ideally we'd love to have him take a hometown discount. But the thing is, he seems like a guy that wants to go out and make a lot of money. Make sure you're subscribed. Hit that big red button. We're trying to get to 8,000 subscribers by the time of the NFL draft. So if you like free Giants content every single day, go down and hit that big red button. Use hashtag Giants to get featured on this mailbag right now. You are watching New York Giants Now by Chat Sports. I'm your host, Marshall Green, and we're about to get into a Giants Rumors mailbag, which aired on our live show Wednesday, 4:20, 2 p.m. Eastern. We may be going live next week, so subscribe and have your notifications turned on so you can join us when we go live potentially next week and for the NFL Draft when we're going to go live for picks 5 and number 7. Mr. Palmieri, number 32, getting this one kicked off. How do you think Jones will look for us this year? I'm hoping better than he's looked ever in his NFL career. I like what Brian Daboll did with Josh Allen. There was clear progression year to year. Am I expecting a Josh Allen leap from Daniel Jones in year one? No. But cut down on the turnovers, cut down on the fumbles, play 17 games. Can we go for more than 25 touchdowns? If I see growth every single game from Daniel Jones, I think that's a success. Get better every single game and instill hope into this fan base that you can be the franchise quarterback of this team for the next 5 to 10 years. Because if you struggle this year, you're not going to be wearing Giants blue next year. David O'Connor, do you think we trade down and draft Kyer Elam or Andrew Booth? I like, between Booth and Elam, I'm a bigger fan of Elam. A little bit longer, a little bit more athletic, and he's really good in a press man type of defense. And that's what Wink's going to run. I think Elam is a guy that's going to end up being taken in the first round. But if he's there at pick 36, I don't think Booth will last at 36. But if Elam's there at 36, I'd be really cool with the Giants picking him. If you have Elam, Adoree Jackson, Aaron Robinson, Rodarius Williams, and all the other guys on this Giants defensive back, I think that's a good step in the process for them to restructure this defensive backfield. NYG for life. Do you think the Giants will trade back or trade up? I think they're more likely, and I guess you're speaking about the first round. I think they're more likely to trade down. I think if you want to trade down, there's definitely a possibility. Joe Schoen already said that there's been some teams that he's been on the phone with talking about trading down in the NFL draft. Trading up really doesn't make all that much sense in my opinion. Because who are you going to trade up for? Aiden Hutchinson to the number 1 pick? Do you want a guy like Trayvon Walker? Or maybe you want to trade up for Kayvon Thibodeau? I don't think there's any reason for the Giants to trade up because then you have to sacrifice more picks. Just take the best 2 football players at picks number 5 and number 7. But what do you say? Do you want the Giants to trade down in the NFL draft? Go down and let me know. Type M for move, as in move down. Or you can type S for stay put at picks number 5 or 7. If I had to bet on it right now, I think the Giants stay put at 5 or 7, but I would not be shocked at all if they end up trading down. Elijah, what's up, bro? Appreciate you always watching the vids. The Giants aren't trading Saquon, so what do you think about the 2022 comeback? Look, I hope Saquon Barkley can be the guy that he was his rookie year when he went for 15 total touchdowns, when he had 90 grabs, when he went for like almost 2,000 total all-purpose yards. We want him to be the best back in the NFL. Stats on screen. Good job, Petey. 1,300 on the ground, 91 receptions, 15 total tutties, 5.1 yards per tote. That's what we need out of Saquon Barkley. I understand that he's not a gritty running back that likes to stick his nose in the hole and get the hard yards, but this is someone that could be a game breaker for the New York Giants and someone that I think needs to be able to make big-time plays for this offense. And I think that's going to be possible if they resurrect this offensive line. If you go get Ika Mekwonu and maybe Tyler Linderbaum falls to 36, I don't think that's unrealistic. Or you get an interior offensive lineman at that spot. Saquon Barkley could have a bounce-back year. And I think he's going to be used more as a receiver this year. So that'll be interesting. Hixie Dust with a $5 super chat. I appreciate you. We're always chopping it up on Twitter and on YouTube. You're in the comment section of every video. This channel thrives off of subscribers like you. We can't do what we do without you. So appreciate you, and thanks for the donation. We'll see. Do the Giants need to draft a tackle with the number 5 and 7? If not, what would you to get 7? And while we're at it, who would you take at 5 without using a tackle? Okay, Do I think they need to take a tackle with number 5 and 7? Look, if you take Ekwonu at 5 and Evan Neal's at 7, I'm cool with taking them both. Move one to right guard, one to right tackle. If not, who would you – I don't understand that. If not, would you to get 7? And while we're at it, who would you take at 5? Okay, if it's not a tackle at 5, I think the pick at 5 is either Sauce Gardner or Kayvon Thibodeau. Because if Ekwonu or Neal are both on the board at 5, and so is Kayvon Thibodeau, just take Thibodeau at 5 and take the guy at 7 that falls that didn't go at pick number 6. Millie Giant, do you believe in Daniel Jones? I do. I do believe in Danny Dimes. Do I think he's ever going to be an MVP? No. Will he ever be a top 5 quarterback? No. Is he ever going to be a top 10 quarterback? No. But I do think he is someone that can man the ship and win you football games. I go back to that Saints game this year where he lit it up in the second half. He led a game-tying drive in the fourth quarter, and then a game-winning drive in overtime. 24 touchdowns his rookie year in 12 games. If I didn't see that, then I wouldn't believe in him, but I do think he could be a solid quarterback, an Alex Smith type of quarterback for the Giants. But what do you say? Is Daniel Jones the franchise quarterback for the New York Giants? Is he going to be the signal caller for the next 10 years? Type go DJ if you're a fan of Danny Dimes and you think he's the guy, or you go down and type no DJ if you think Daniel Jones is spending his last year with the New York Giants. Neal and the best edge rusher period from Mr. Palmieri 32. I agree, and I'm cool with Neal or Ekwonu, and I think you do need an edge rusher. Kayvon Thibodeau at pick number 7, I think is a good pick. Neal and the best edge rusher period. Yeah, I think if you can get Neal and an edge rusher at picks 5 and 7, I'm all cool with that. Should we consider trading Dexter Lawrence? He's going to be a free agent. This is a great question. He's going to be a free agent next year, and we can just get another D tackle later in the draft. Look, his fifth-year option is coming up in a couple of weeks. I think May 2nd is the deadline. And if I'm on this exactly, let me look it up to make sure. His fifth-year option, I'm pretty sure, is worth $10.7 million. And that makes him a top 20 highest paid defensive tackle in the National Football League. Sexy Dexy gets a lot of hate because he doesn't play all 3 downs and he's not a good pass rusher, but he plays over 65% of the snaps for the Giants. So I'm a big fan of Dexter Lawrence. Trading him, though, I don't think it's an unreal idea. If you don't want to ante up and pay him that $10 million in the 5th-year option, sure, go trade him. I think his trade value is probably a 4th or a 5th round pick. You're not going to get a 1st, 2nd, or 3rd. But if you get a 5th round pick and take one of the dudes out of the SEC, maybe a guy from Georgia in the 5th round, I think it'd be a solid replacement. But I'd probably hold on to Dexter Lawrence. I think he's a good locker room guy, and it's time for the Giants to pay their own players and re-sign someone after their rookie contract. Spaghetti Noodle Gaming. Can the Giants take Neal and Ickey at 5 and 7? Look, I think it's a strong possibility. Do I think it ultimately happens? Probably not. But if it did, and you had Andrew Thomas at left tackle, you got a rookie at left guard, you got Feliciano at center, and you got Ekwonu, or you would move Neal to left guard. So you'd have Thomas at left tackle, Ekwonu at left guard, Feliciano at center, Mark Glowinski at right guard, and Evan Neal at right tackle. I think you fix the offensive line with 2 picks. You have 3 guys that were picked in the top 10 in Thomas, Neal, and Ekwonu. Yes, it'd be a big payday in 5 years from now, but it's time for the Giants to address the offensive line and fix it. It's not my plan A to take them at those spots, but if the draft board falls like that, I'm not against it. Make sure to hit that big red button because we got free Giants videos every single day, all off season long. When June and July roll around and there's nothing out there and no YouTube content creators that cover the Giants are making videos, I can promise you we'll still be making videos every single day. So go down, hit that big red button. Help us get to 7.5 thousand subscribers by the time we get to the NFL draft. We're a little over 250 away, but I think we can get there. Show some love. Go down and hit that big red button. Elite 1010, I like that. Eli, Elite, I like it. Will Kenny Golladay have a bounce back season? He better. Because what he did last year, he didn't earn his cheddar. He didn't live up to the bill. 0 touchdowns last year. But I think this is someone that Brian Daboll is going to be able to get the most out of. What we saw in Buffalo, when they traded for Stephon Diggs from the Minnesota Vikings, he built his offense and his offensive attack around Stephon Diggs. He put him in positions to succeed. He put him in spots that he's best at. Kenny Golladay, he's a deep threat. Throw him the ball down the field. Throw him a jump ball. this is someone I think can have a bounce back year, but ultimately it's going to rely on Daniel Jones because I think Galladay has the talent. He's got to stay healthy, and I think the Giants have an offensive coordinator in Mike Kafka or Brian Daboll, who's ever calling the plays, are going to put him in position to succeed. Give me a number. Last year, 0 touchdowns. He led the NFL in touchdowns. I think it was back in 2020. So let me know. How many TDs will Kenny Galladay have this season? I'm hoping at least more than 5. Can you give me 7 touchdowns? I don't think that's too many to ask for, but let me know. How many do you think KG will have next season? We'll see. If we don't take a tackle at 5 or 7, then who are your top picks? So no tackle. Give me Sauce Gardner and Kayvon Thibodeau. In my opinion, you get the best cornerback in the draft, and you get one of the best edge rushers in Kayvon Thibodeau. I have Aiden Hutchinson as my number 1 guy. Kayvon Thibodeau is number 2. But I don't think it would be a surprise to anyone that watches the NFL or covers the NFL if Kayvon Thibodeau in 5 years is a better player than Aiden Hutchinson. I think Thibodeau honestly has the highest ceiling of any edge rusher in this draft, but I also think he might have the lowest floor of anybody. But I'm about taking chances and taking risks. You don't make money with scared money, so give me Thibodeau and Sauce if we don't take an offensive lineman at 5 or 7. Mr. Palmieri, if Daniel Jones progresses, why wouldn't we keep him? He has all the tangibles we need with his legs and arm. Just need to develop. Look, if Daniel Jones plays good this year, and say the Giants, they improve. I'm not going to put a number on the record. If Daniel Jones looks good and plays good, he's going to be back next year. No doubt about it. I mean, if he doesn't play good, they're not just going to let him walk. You don't just let okay or good quarterbacks walk in free agency. Daniel Jones plays good, he'll be back wearing number 8 next year in blue. Sam Lubner, who would you rather have call the plays, OC, Mike Kafka, or Daboll? Look, this is an ongoing talk about the Giants and what's going on with them. It's got to be Brian Daboll. Daboll was hired as a head coach because of what he did as an offensive coordinator, because of what he showed and the way he was able to progress Josh Allen, how he was able to make that Buffalo Bills offense better. Kafka, a great offensive mind. A lot of the ideas in Kansas City came from Kafka. But Daboll, he's a proven play caller. I want him calling the shots for the Giants. COVID-1984, last question on this mailbag. Should we take a receiver with one of our 3rd round picks? I think so. I think there's a lot of guys in the 3rd round. Jalen Tolbert is there out of South Alabama. In the 3rd round, I'd take him in a heartbeat. Honestly, I'm not against taking one at 36. If Sky Moore is there, Jahan Dotson, Christian Watson, George Pickens, if one of those guys fall to 36, which I'm sure they will, sometimes you take the best player available. Deebo Samuel, drafted in the 2nd round. A.J. Brown, drafted in the 2nd round. Devontae Adams, he wasn't drafted on day 1 of the NFL draft. You can get an elite wide receiver in pick number 36. Do I think it's a big enough need? No, but we've learned from Joe Schoen, he's going to take the best player on the board. So what wide receiver do you want the Giants to draft? Light up the comment section. Give me a name that I probably haven't heard of. I'll continue to do research and scout these players leading up into the draft, so give me some names to look at. All right, let's give some shout-outs. I appreciate everyone that's made New York Giants now a part of their day. Let's ride. Sam Lubner says, I agree, Daboll. Yeah, Daboll's got to call the plays. He got this job because he was a play caller for the Bills. I'm not saying Kafka wouldn't or can't be a great OC, but he hasn't proved it yet. Desmond Clark says Tony is trash. I don't know if he's trash. He just might be a head case. Marcos says more than 7 touchdowns for Galladay. Hixie Dust says 10. COVID-1984 says 7. I appreciate everyone that's made our first live show a part of their day. It exceeded my expectations. I was hoping for about 50 live viewers. I think we almost got to 100 at one point. So I appreciate everyone that's made this show a part of your day. Look, if you like what we do here at Chat Sports, send the link, youtube.com/NYGiantsTV, to a friend, to a family member that likes the Giants, because we're trying to grow this channel as one of the biggest Giants channels on YouTube. So subscribe, hit that big red button, tell a friend, tell your baby mama. We're trying to get to 8,000 subscribers. Appreciate it. Hit that big red button.